All right, folks, let's go over a couple of these exercises from Chapter 2. Make sure you understand these. And by the way, you could probably, I don't know if you want to write these on a sheet of paper, go along with, but I would advise you to watch these kind of actively, like do them along with me. Okay? All right, let's go here. All right, so let me get my pen. There we go, and we'll put it with blue. All right, so here it says JK Builders was incorporated on July 1st. It says prepare the journal entries for the following transactions for the first month of business. If an event is not a transaction, write no transaction. Okay, so it says we got $70,000 cash invested by the owners and issued common stock. Okay, so what would that look like? Okay, so there's the cash, 70,000, right? That's the debit right there. Cash is increasing, it's an asset. There's your debit. And where they issued common stock. So here's what they give up. They issued common stock, right? So we're going to, you indent, put common stock, that's stockholders' equity. That increases with the credit. There's your $70,000. Okay? Now, let's see, B, it says they bought an unused field from a local farmer, paying $60,000 in cash. As a construction site is estimated to be worth $65,000 to JK Builders. So now they bought land and they paid $60,000 in cash. So they're exchanging one asset for another. So look, they got land, that was the asset, $60,000, right? And what did they give up? They gave up their cash, $60,000. So all we did was exchange assets here. By the way, this piece where it says it's estimated to be worth, that's not needed. Okay, that's meant to confuse you. Okay, it's called distractor information. Okay, that's nice that they think it's worth that, but that doesn't have anything to do with what they paid and what they got. Now it says a lumber supplier delivered lumber to JK Builders for future use. Lumber supplies will normally be sold for $10,000, but the supplier gave them a 10% discount. JK Builders has not yet received the bill from the supplier. So now what happens? So they got the lumber. They got $9,000 worth of lumber. So they said normally it's $10,000, but again, not needed. Okay? We have to put down what actually happened. Okay? So notice here, supplies, $9,000, and accounts payable, $9,000. We're going to pay them later. Okay, so remember, you know, that $10,000, it may look like something, but that's not the transaction that actually happened. Okay? All right, let's continue. Now we borrow money from a bank, and we're going to use it to build a small workshop. It's going to be repaid in 2 years. Now remember, it's longer than a year, and they're going to sign something from a bank, so it's going to be a note payable. So it looked like this. They got cash, $25,000. It's an asset. It's increasing. Notes payable long-term, $25,000. Okay. So here it says one of the owners sold $10,000 worth of his common stock to another shareholder for $11,000. So the question is, was there any transaction having to do with the business here? Okay. That had nothing to do with the business. That was between two other parties. That were between the two owners, not between the business. So that is no transaction. Okay. It's between two other individuals, not with JK Builders. All right? So anyway, that's the first homework problem. Let's go ahead and do some more. All right, some more transactions here. And they want us to do journal entries. They buy and sell books online. So first says the company purchased equipment for $4,000 in cash. Okay? So again, they got equipment. Equipment's an asset. And they gave up cash. Cash is an asset. So they have an exchange in assets. $4,000, $4,000. By the way, the total amount of assets stays the same. Total amount stays the same. It's just it's going to have a different composition now. Less cash, but they're going to have equipment. Then it says they purchased $7,000 worth of inventory from a publisher. The company will pay within 45 to 60 days. So again, now they have some inventory. Inventory is an asset, but they haven't paid them yet, so they're going to have an account payable. 45 to 60 days, that's not really long term, so it's just going to be an account payable. So inventory is an asset increasing, account payable liability increasing. Okay, cool. See, not too bad, right? All right. Next one says Joel's friend lent Sam lent $4,000 to the business. Sam had Joel write a note promising that they would be paid $4,000 in 4 months. Okay, and because they're good friends, there's not going to be any interest. So here, what's going to happen is they got $4,000 in cash coming in, but now they signed a promissory note, and it's going to look like this: cash $4,000, note payable short term. Notice they used the note payable. Why? Because it said write a note. It says they wrote a note. Because of that, it's a note payable. Next, it says company paid $15,000 for books that it purchased on account earlier. So what's going to happen? Their liabilities are going to go down. That goes down with a debit, right? Because it's a liability, and its cash is going to go down with a credit. Okay, so you got to remember which one. So basically, they're paying down what they owe. So the next one says Bookmart repaid the $4,000 loan to Sam. So now what happened? You see this note payable right here? We're going to get rid of this note payable, and we're going to have to pay with cash. So you know how we credited here? We're going to have to debit to get rid of it. So notice there's your debit to get rid of it. So you see this and this kind of cancel each other out. So now it leaves a zero balance. And then cash, $4,000. Okay. All right, doing some more journal entries. Lots of journal entries here. Okay. Says this one's a candy shop. Order and receive $12,000 worth of cotton candy machines. They're going to pay in 45 days. So they got cotton candy machines. Machines are an asset. They're going to pay in 45 days, so that's going to be a liability. Equipment, $12,000. Accounts payable liability, $12,000. Now they sent the check to candy makers where they got the machines for partial payment. Okay. So what's going to happen? They're going to lower that accounts payable. So to lower this guy right here, to lower this, they're going to have to debit it, right? So there's the debit right there by $6,000, right? That'll mean they only owe $6,000 left, right? And then they paid with cash, so you're going to lower your cash and asset by $6,000. Now it says they received $4,000 from customers who bought candy on account in previous months. Okay, so what happens? Their cash is going to increase, and their accounts receivable is going to decrease. So what happened was they had an account receivable. These people owed them money. That's an asset. They earned that money, but they didn't receive it yet. Now what happens? They have to lower that receivable, right? So it'd be kind of like this. Let's say that was the only thing they had. They would have had something like this. They would have account receivable. We'll go AR, and they would have put $400 here. That would have been it's an asset, right? And this would have been money they were owed. And now, let's say that was all the money they were owed. Now they're getting paid that. So there's the 400, excuse me. And now the balance in this account is zero. Okay? It says to help raise funds for store upgrades, estimated cost $20,000. They issued common shares for $15 each to existing stockholders. Okay? So what they did was they got cash of $15,000. How did they get that? They got it by $15 a share times 1,000 shares. Okay? And then what they're going to have over here is going to be stockholders' equity, right? So what happens is they're going to go common stock, stockholders' equity, $15,000. Okay. Now they bought ice cream trucks totaling $60,000. Those are going to be assets. Paying $10,000 in cash and signing a long-term note for $50,000. So what do we get? We got trucks, $60,000. We spent $10,000 in cash and notes payable. Notice how this 60 equals that 60. So what they do, they got these trucks and they gave up $10,000 in cash and they signed a liability. Notice how everything balances. Okay? All right, folks, that's part one from the homework. We'll be back with part 2 in just a minute.